military leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, they have lashed out on the West by leaving ECOWAS and accused this organization, saying that it's being led by the Western countries. They then decided to build up a bloc which they call the Sahel Region Alliance. What would this bloc mean for people of these three countries, and how is it going to benefit the people of Africa continent? Let us talk about it. But before we get to dive ourselves into deep conversation, I'm first inviting you to watch this report, then I'll be back with more analysis.
The three military rulers have pledged to support each other against outside threats and internal security challenges. But can they find success by going it alone? Or will a divided Sahel region make regional challenges even more difficult to tackle? We'll bring in our guests in a moment, but first, this report from Fintan Monahan.
Three leaders united in their isolation. Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have announced their withdrawal from ECOWAS. That was after the West African regional bloc suspended them, citing their recent military takeovers. The three nations signed a security agreement last year to come to each other's aid in case of armed rebellion or foreign intervention. On Saturday, they held their first meeting in Niger.
Our people have turned their backs irrevocably on ECOWAS. It's now up to us to create the Alliance of Sahel States Confederation, the AES. It's an alternative to any artificial regional grouping by building a sovereign community of peoples.
In 2021, Mali's military overthrew the civilian government and seized power. That was followed by a coup in Burkina Faso in 2022. When Niger's military followed suit in 2023, ECOWAS threatened a military intervention. The three states banded together, saying an attack on one would be considered an attack on all. The military leaders of the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States say they plan to work together to confront armed groups. The past year has seen hundreds of attacks across the region. Thousands are dead and millions are displaced. Previously, these states had relied on France and the United States for military support. But relations have soured on accusations France is interfering in their internal affairs. French and American troops have been ordered to leave, and the three nations are now increasingly turning to Russia.
Africa is a continent that has suffered and continues to suffer due to imperialists. These imperialists have but one cliché in their head. Africa is an empire of slaves. That's how they view Africa. For them, Africans belong to them. Our land belongs to them. They've never been able to change their ways.
ECOWAS is also fighting some of the same armed groups. It's seeking to form a dedicated security force, and it's also trying to bring Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso back into its fold.
It is believed that we cannot fight terrorism alone or while others are not participating. That is why the Commission proposed to the authority, through of course the Council of Ministers, that although countries might be under suspension, they should be allowed to take part in meetings relating to security as well as in sectoral meetings.
The military leaders of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso are relying on each other to remain in power. The test now is whether they can split from the rest of the region while still confronting common security challenges.
Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, they have done it again. Yes, you heard me correct. They have done it by trying to separate themselves from these organizations called by the name of ECOWAS. These organizations, which we all know that it's been for some times now, or a couple of years if I have to put it that way, that everyone, they keep on raising up the same opinions when it comes to this organization, that it's being led by the Western, that the one who get to control. And when we're talking about the Western countries who are controlling these organizations, we are seeing the US, we are seeing France, we are seeing Belgium, we are seeing Germany and Italy, so on and so on. These countries, they're having a very big impact in this African organization, because this is supposed to be a Pan-African organization. But it seems like the leader who are involved in these organizations, they have sold their soul to the Western, and they kind of like doing everything according to what the Western they have to tell them to do. Guys, what is ECOWAS? Of course, ECOWAS, it is a Western organization. As much we are having SADC in the Central Africa, as much we are having different organizations in Africa continent, which, by the way, here at Cool Buzz TV, we never really support this kind of thing, because as we are a Pan-African platform, so we fight for the unity of Africa continent, because we know that it is only with the unity of Africa that's the only thing that will make Africa to be able to develop in the way that's supposed to be. But since the Western and the former colonials, they know very well on how to control Africa or to see Africa in a low profile, they only have to make sure that Africa should be always be divided, so that they'll be able to reign and continue looting African minerals. So that's the reason why you see, if you go in Central Africa, you'll be having SADC's country over there, which is South Africa, DR Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, so on and so on. If you go again somewhere in the eastern of Africa, you'll be having this so-called ECOWAS, which is Nigeria, Burkina Faso. Of course, Burkina Faso used to be there, but no more. So it's kind of like Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, what is this? Chad, all those Western countries, Cameroon, they're also in that organizations. So this is something that Africans, they have done, besides having Africa Union, but they're having a lot of group within Africa Union, which is something that we're supposed not to be doing. Because if you look, this colonial who came and imposed borders on Africans, first of all, they never want to do the same things that they're doing to Africans in their countries. If you go in Europe, besides having EU, which is the European Union, they don't have any other organizations where you'll say that, no, this is a SADC from the south of Africa, this is a what from the central of Africa. They don't have such a things. But in Africa, we have a lot of organizations, as we belong to this, as we belong to that. And tell me, with this kind of mentality, when are we going to be able to build up a one Africa with one currency, with one army, in order for us to defeat these people who are coming to loot from Africa mineral? Guys, so that is how this ECOWAS come to existence. But how the three countries, which is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, end up deciding to leave this organization? Because we need to understand how things get to this point. They can't just wake up one day and decide to build this block of these three countries out of 54 countries, 54 flags, which we have in Africa continent. There must be a motivation behind it. And of course there is a motivation which motivates these three leaders to take this kind of decision. First of all, look at them. Look at their profile. All of them, they are militaries. Yes, when they are military like that, obviously they kind of like have the way, their own way of doing things. And these three leaders, they came in the way of trying to change things around, reminding Africans that trusting politicians, especially civilians, that time have passed. We can't trust civilians anymore, because these people, they are kind of like doing things differently. They are selling out Africa. They are not respecting the rules of doing things around. Therefore, this is how things are going to be right now. These people, they came, three of them, starting with Burkina Faso. We started with Mali. They had their military coup. Go and look our videos where we explain everything on how the military coup took place in Mali, and how this Keita, the leader, military government leader, have come to power. So you will tell already that they have their own motivations for them to even remain in power as the militaries. Now we go in Burkina Faso, the same thing also apply. How Ibrahim Traore came in power. And why is it there? Because the man, even after he was in power, he wanted to leave the power and go back to his duty as a military. But people of Burkina Faso, the youth of Burkina Faso, they were like, no, look, we are tired of these politicians. We are tired of these people who are coming to preach us or promising us paradise. Yet they are failing to do this. They are selling us out to the Western. They'll come today, they'll seek for your vote, they'll tell you 1, 2, 3 things, they'll promise you a couple of things around. But for them to fulfill it, it becomes something else. Why? Because they will have to find themselves being controlled by the Western. And people are tired of that. That's how they end up keeping Ibrahim Traore. They give him again even 4 years for him to continue being the president of Burkina Faso. Same also apply with Niger. Now, when you look all these 3 countries, the first things these 3 military leaders did was by start making sure that they chase all the former colonial in their countries. They chase the presence of the US military in their countries. They just decided to distance themselves from the Western.
US military kicked out of Niger in humiliating exit. In a humiliating turn of events, the US military has been unceremoniously kicked out of Niger. The announcement came during a joint press conference in Niamey, the capital, where the American and Nigerian militaries laid bare the details of the forced departure. Nigerian Colonel Major Mamman Sani Kiyau triumphantly announced, "This June 7th flight by the U.S. Air Force's C-130 Globemaster III from Niamey, Base 101, marks the start of a series of several wide-body rotations for the repatriation of personnel and equipment in accordance with the Niger Agreement." Both countries signed an agreement on May 19th for the withdrawal of American troops. Since then, more than 269 items out of 946 and several tons of equipment have already left Niger, according to Kiyau. U.S. Major General Kenneth Ekman feebly attempted to save face by announcing the establishment of a joint committee to facilitate the coordination of the disengagement process. This committee is a clear sign of the disarray and incompetence that has plagued the U.S. mission. Prior to this ignominious retreat, over 1,000 U.S. troops were stationed at 2 bases in Niger, tasked with the dubious mission of spying on various militant groups in West Africa. Niger's decision to end its partnership with the U.S. was a direct response to Washington's condescending attitude and threats of reprisals, as pointed out by military spokesperson Colonel Amadou Abdramane in March. This scathing criticism of U.S. diplomacy and military strategy in the region further underscores the complete and utter failure of American efforts. Adding to the embarrassment, Niger also expelled French troops in 2022 after an 8-year partnership, accusing Paris of being unable to suppress terrorists in the region. The U.S. now finds itself in similar disgrace.
So these 3 leaders, they did not decide to leave ECOWAS for no reasons. They had their reasons because they want to do things differently than the way we are more familiar of. Yes, because they have understood that actually, military, let me put it this way. Militaries in every country, they are kind of like observers. They usually be neutral. They don't take sides. So they kind of observing whatsoever is happening in the world of politics. And if they see that politicians are not respecting their promises or they are not protecting their people and everything, that's when you see these militaries that are stepping in by organizing a military coup. And they can tell that no, every time, even if there's a military coup, because most of these African leaders, they came in power by military coup. Yes, they will come in as a military leader and tomorrow they become a politicians, and then tomorrow the next things, by the time you wake up, you find out they become a dictator and they will stay in power forever, like whenever they are there. They just want to be there. If they are being removed out or they want to leave, they'll leave it for their children. That's what we know about Africa. So this young generation of these military leaders, they just came up with something new, like by trying to, first of all, make sure that the Western, they should learn on how to start having respect, to see on how to deal with this kind of leaders. They should have a certain kind of respect when it comes to these countries, when it comes to their minerals. And they do that, first of all, by removing them, chasing them in their countries. They are chasing them because they know that if these people they are here, they would like to find a way to put more pressure on us so that us as a militaries will leave our seat and give it to politicians who are civilians. And once civilians they are in, they'll start working with these civilians. They'll be becoming even the most corrupt civilians. And then they'll be controlling them and they'll be telling them what to do. These are the same Westerns who came in this part of Sahel region by, like always, finding something to bring out, saying that no, we're here to help you fight the terror in your regions. But since they've been there, we still have Boko Haram killing people there, raping children and women. We still have different terrorist movement which still in these Sahel regions, and nothing is happening. So the African leaders, some of them, they start opening up their eyes to understand that no, we don't need to have this kind of people who are coming here saying that no, here's the UN soldiers, they'll protect you, they'll do this, but they're not doing nothing. Recently, you saw what happened in DR Congo. The President Tshisekedi, who had also to chase them away, he chased the UN soldiers over there. He said that no, you guys have been here for 25 years, yet the war is not finishing in my country. You're not doing nothing. So I think it's going to be a good idea for you guys to leave my country. And then we saw Mali, they came, they chased also them out, they chased the French militaries, they chased the American militaries. Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore did also the same, chasing them out. Niger, and now we are talking about the Guinea-Bissau, they are also following up the same lead. And I'm afraid to tell you that this ECOWAS things, a lot of countries, they'll have to leave it.
It's been a tumultuous year for West Africa's regional bloc, ECOWAS. A number of coups have set off several crises, leading to suspensions and sanctions. Those actions resulted in 3 member states, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, renouncing their membership and forming their own bloc, the Alliance of Sahel States. Although most of ECOWAS' punitive sanctions have been lifted, many believe the crisis has undermined and weakened the organization. Nigeria, which holds the chairmanship, says much has been achieved in the past year.
The handling of the fragile situations in these countries has, even though perhaps not ideally what we would want, but it has helped to de-escalate tension, because at a point tension was really high and things could have gone south.
At the heart of the organization's troubles are security and the economy. Economic slowdown has resulted in high cost of living, leading to violent protests in some member states. Attacks by armed groups are also a major concern. One of the main reasons coup leadership in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger gave for toppling their democratic governments. Ahead of Sunday's ECOWAS summit in Nigeria, the leaders of the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States met in Niger's capital, Niamey. They discussed security and defense, combating terrorism, economic, cultural and trade exchanges.
They will have to leave it, because I don't think there will be any African leaders who will remain in this movement, knowing very well that it's being accused that this movement is being led by the Western countries, that the one who have the last word to say in African organizations' affairs. And if this kind of rumor continue circulating, I'm afraid to tell you that obviously a lot of African leaders who are in these organizations, they'll leave one by one. Unless maybe this old one, like this Madala, the one we are seeing in Nigeria, or Paul Biya from Cameroon, or what's this one, Ouattara from Ivory Coast. Unless these countries, I mean these leaders, they're still in there. But if there is any young leader who's in there, like the one of Senegal, what is it, Faye? Is it Faye? Yes, the new president, the young leader from Senegal, President Faye. This man is going to leave that ECOWAS as well. He's not going to be part of it, because he does not seem to be one of those African leaders who speak same language as the one of the Western. So as long you are changing your way of doing things and you don't want to work with the Western, there is no way you will see yourself staying in that organization for that too long. What people of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have done so far through this military leaders who have go and sit down and build up this new bloc. It is something that's supposed to be saluted by each and every Africans. But unfortunately, we always have some sell out. Some political analysts, they are coming out condemning this bloc, saying that it's not going to work because it is off the road.
Analysts warn the alliance will need support from the rest of the region.
If they decide to operate on their own by isolating other ECOWAS countries or other countries within the Sahel, these groups will continue to exploit these gaps that would be created, and then of course continue to impact heavy toll on both the security forces as well as the citizens of the three countries.
ECOWAS has initiated moves led by the Senegalese president to bring the three countries back into its fold. So far, there are no indications this has succeeded.
Observers say the timing of the alliance of Sahel states was deliberate. It's to show ECOWAS that Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger can do without the regional bloc. But some analysts say Mali and Niger in particular could face difficulties if all member countries of ECOWAS decide to isolate the two landlocked countries.
As leaders of the Sahel alliance wrap up their meeting in Niger, ECOWAS members gathering in Nigeria have not commented on the Niamey meeting, likely hoping their latest efforts will convince the junta-led countries to return to the regional organization.
When we are fighting about the unity of Africa, when we are thinking on Africans, how they can come out with something which is more solid, that can be supported by all Africans in order for us to resist against the West mafias. Well, it seems like the Western, they have managed to divide us even through our opinions. We can't even seem to speak the same language. We are not even able to support one another when one group of African brothers who come with the good initiations that they put on place, which we're supposed to be opening our eyes and then follow this lead or supporting them so that we can end up winning as one continent. Well, we're having people like this who come and criticize them, saying that no, it won't gonna work. Who says that it's not gonna work? Are you representing the whole entire Africa continent? Because if you look the purpose of all this bloc, this new Sahel alliance, it is all because they want to stay away from the Western. And I believe us as Africans who don't want to see the Western getting a say in Africa business, who don't want to see the West getting to meddle in Africa business, who don't want the West to come and continue looting Africa. These are kind of initiation that we're supposed to be coming together and support it, and not be divided and having different opinions and wishing it a bad luck. No. Maybe it seems that's hard for now because they believe that no, people of Sahel, they won't leave anything. In the report which I play you heard they said that they had choose to leave the Western country, which is the US, France, British, so on, and they choose to work with other countries such as Russia and China. These countries, they have showed they are willing. They have showed they are willing to work with these countries because they know very well that if it's about food, as these other political analysts, they are busy giving their opinion, saying that no, people of these three countries, they will suffer. Who said they were going to suffer? Because Russia is already willing to start supplying them with food. China, same as well. In exchange of what? In exchange of a deal of win-win. You do something to benefit people of your country, could be China or Russia. Then also they do also things which have to benefit this bloc, especially people of their countries. So this is something that we're supposed at least to be more focusing, because it seems like we are missing up something. It seems like we are not taking this matter more serious. It seems like we are neglecting one another, when we know very well that the Western, their mission in Africa is to continue seeing Africa as a slave, is to continue looting African minerals, is continue to have a last word on what Africans have to say or not. And us as Africans, we're supposed to be having a big vision of seeing on how we can come up together, put our power together, put our effort together, to work together, so that we can be able to resist against all these mafias that the West have been imposing on us. We don't need division. We don't need to be divided, because we are one people. We should be working together in order for us to fight against unemployment, create more jobs. From South Africa to Tanzania, from Tanzania to Angola to Sudan, we're supposed to be working together. But I'm so disappointed in my fellow Africans with our own behaviors. Things that we're supposed to be coming together and put it the hands, just try to push each other forward. Here there are some people who are there just to pull you back. There are some people who are there just to neglect you. But you are not going to fall for this. We are not going to fall for that. Do you know why? Because we know the mastermind behind all this. It is the Western. They are the one who are coming in to put even more money so that they can use their medias, they can use their own political analyzer, they can use their own puppet president, so that they will come and stand against this bloc. Remember, the moment when these three leaders took their countries as the military leaders, the Western France, they were busy threatening them. Remember, France even went far by telling Niger that if you guys don't reinstate the so-called elected president, who failed even to bring his own people on the street, France had the balls to come and say that if you guys don't reinstate this leader, then you must know that we are going to invade your country. If it was not because of the support of these other two countries, Burkina Faso and Mali, who also have to respond back to France and say that if you try to interfere in Niger business, we are going to send our military over there and we are going to finish you over there. Now, this kind of leaders, do you think that they are welcoming the world of the Western because they don't want to bow or obey to the Western politics? They're not going to be welcomed. So the Western, they're accusing them, they say that no, these people, they are sell out, they don't want to what, they are not respecting their democracy, they don't respect the human right. Like always, these are the kind of things they will come and try to do a bad propaganda about you in order for you to look like a bad person. Then they will come in and say that no, we're the solution to the problem of what these people are going through. But this time it's not going to work for them, because Africans are even more determined. African youth, they are aware of what is the truth, and they are also aware of what is lies. And they know very well that in the 25 decades which has passed by, the Western lies have taken control of Africa. So African youth, they are trying to stop all these things. And that is how things are going to be. They're not going to do them pleasure. Guys, that was a very important message that we need to discuss with you in this video. So we're inviting you to give us your thumbs up, to encourage us. Also, drop also the comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think about this. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. We really do appreciate that. That will be all for now. Stay tuned for the next video. But for now, continue to be yourself. Be good, be kind. Have respect for everyone in order for it to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.